In this class I want to talk about branding strategy. A brand represents the consumer's perceptions and feelings about a product and its performance. A brand is what is identifiable in the mind of the consumer as a quality product and a desirable product. It is the company's promise to deliver a specific set of features, benefits, services and experiences consistently to the buyers. So the brand is like a promise that the company makes to deliver a good quality product that will meet the needs of the consumer, of the customer. Brand equity is the positive difference that a brand name has on the consumer's responses to the product or service. So brand equity enables the supplier, the producer, to perhaps charge a little more, or to be more reliant and more confident in the consumer, because the consumer is loyal to the brand. In other words, without the brand, the consumer would shop generally and perhaps buy some alternative product. With the brand in place and having it established in the mind of the consumer then will shop for that brand and perhaps that brand only. So it's the positive difference between what would happen had there not been a brand and what actually happens since there is a brand. So brand equity is the customer's loyalty to the product. Now brand equity provides competitive advantage. It provides competitive advantage. It yields benefits to both the producer and to the consumer. Well, to the producer gains customer or consumer loyalty. So in other words, sales are more stable. There are constant sales because the consumers are loyal to the product. So clearly the producer benefits. And strong brands lead to greater stability, secure employment, and also reduced customer search. That's really in the next set of benefits for the consumer, but nonetheless we'll put it in here. So what we have is strong brands lead to greater stability. Well, sales tend to be more stable, so the business tends to be more stable. The business has got perhaps fewer cash flow problems, perhaps fewer seasonal factors influence the business, which means of course it has secure employment. It may also have a better track record in investment. And as for the customer, which we'll deal with under B later in the slide, but the customer doesn't have to search for the product. The customer knows what the product is. Now C is strong brands may lead to higher prices. In other words, premium prices. Well, if the producer is confident of sales because the brand is successful and the consumers like the brand, then there may be an opportunity to add on a premium markup, an extra amount on the price, and charge perhaps even more than the competitors are charging for similar products, because people want that brand. They're loyal to the brand. Now the benefits to the consumer. Well, the consumer gains confidence in the reputation and quality of the product. So the consumer is happy. The consumer likes the product. They're happy about the image of the product, the quality of the product, and it addresses their needs. And also, as I said earlier in the slide, it reduces customer search. Now, customer search is not a trivial thing. Customers have to search for the best product to meet their needs. And search involves time, and time is money. So customers, instead of having to search for a product that meets their need, if they know that the brand is of good quality and it addresses their need, then they don't have to search. So brand equity brings with it these components. Now, customer equity and brand valuation. Well, customer equity is the value of the customer relationships that the brand creates. So the customer equity is what the brand creates. The brand creates loyal customers. That is the customer equity. The customers that come back and again and again and again and buy the product. That's the customer equity. And that's created by the brand. People are loyal to the brand, customers are loyal to the brand, and therefore they continue to purchase the item. That means the business gains, and that is, in a sense, the customer equity. Now, the brand valuation is the process of estimating the total financial value of the brand. How much is the brand worth to the business? Well, if the brand, the image of the brand, the name, the history of the brand, the endorsements that the brand have received from perhaps celebrities or whoever, all of these may lead to strong levels of loyalty on the part of the consumers. The consumers like the product. And that's what leads to higher brand valuation. That's what is the brand. And that's what determines the valuation of the brand. It is the customers coming back over and over and over to buy the product. And that valuation is really incorporated into the business, into the value of the business, in the form of goodwill. Because that is what the customers have given the business. They like the product, they like the brand, they continue to buy it, and therefore the business gains. They gain through a higher brand valuation. Now, the brand strategy decision include, well, where's the brand positioned? When the company is setting out a brand strategy, they have to decide where is it positioned. Is it positioned at the top of the market? A very exclusive brand, very expensive perhaps? Or is that at the bottom of the market, very cheap? Whereabouts in the spectrum does it fit? The brand name is clearly important. It must be easily memorized, it must be recognized, it must be carefully selected. So the brand name takes effort to decide. There could be brand sponsorship, for example, endorsements by celebrities or by famous people or by organizations, other organizations. And the brand sponsorship gives the customer, the ordinary customers, the people who will go out and buy it, gives them confidence in the product. And also there is the brand development itself. The brand perhaps has been around for some time. It needs to be developed. It needs to be modified and brought up to date, but with care and attention. They don't want to alienate the existing customers who like the brand and who go out and buy the brand. So they must modify the brand with care. Now let's look at these points in a little more detail. So we'll go through each one of them slightly more detail, starting with the brand positioning. Well, the brand strategy should look at the product attributes. What is the product? what's it made from, and how does it look, and what's its image. And also look at the benefits of the product to the customer. What need does it address, and is it the only product that can address that need, and how precise does it address the need? How good is it at solving the customer need? And the benefits and values related to the product, or the beliefs, I should say, and values related to the product. Well, the beliefs and values relate to its credentials, its green credentials perhaps. Is the product environmentally friendly? Is it produced in a way that is sustainable? Does it have unnecessary packaging? Does it strike a chord with people who are worried about the environment? Will they support the product as well? So what are its beliefs and values, and what comes across? And what does it say about the people who buy the product? If they buy the product, does it say that they are caring people? If somebody buys a car that's 6 litres and puts out a lot of pollution into the atmosphere, what does that say about the driver? Does it say that they don't care about the environment, or they do care and they just want this car and otherwise they're fine? What exactly does the product say about the purchaser? The name selection, well, it should suggest the benefits and qualities of the product. So the name should relate in some way to the product. And it should be easy to pronounce, recognize and remember. If it's difficult to pronounce, customers may get a bit put off. They feel embarrassed about even asking for it in a shop because they can't pronounce it. So it should be easy to pronounce. It should be distinctive. It should stand out from the other products, the other brands. So its image should be different. It should be recognizable as different. And it should be extendable. For example, when complementary products are developed, the brand could be extended to them. So if it is an item, say an item of clothing, then extending the line, making more products, more clothing products, the same brand could be applied to them. So it's extendable. So ideally the brand should be extendable. And it should also be easily translatable for global trading reasons. People in different countries like to think they're getting the same brand. It's a global brand and it's recognized throughout the world. There are also the possibility of private brands, or private labels as they're sometimes called. A large manufacturer may allow its product to be branded by a retailer. Now, it may sound strange, but the large manufacturer will experience an increase in sales. The local brand, the retailer, who's selling an identical product now to the main brand, the local retailer will make a profit. The manufacturer will sell more, and the customer will pay less. So sometimes private brands are cheaper, but they're exactly the same product as the more expensive brand. And in a sense, everyone's a winner. The retailer makes extra profit. The major brand owner has an increase in sales, albeit under a different label. And the purchaser gets the product cheaper. In fact, gets a very good quality, high-end brand at a cheaper price. Except the customer doesn't know it is identical to the top-end brand. The smaller retailer places their own brand label on the final product. So it looks like the small retailer has produced this product and is putting it for sale in his or her shop, which of course is not the case. What they've done is they've gone to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer has put their label on the product. Private branding is a cost-effective way to gain access to a product without requiring a large manufacturing or design team. So the small retailer appears to have a large manufacturing and design capability, but in fact they don't. Private brands provide retailers with advantages. First of all, product mix control. So in other words, the retailer has several brands of this, essentially the same product, or what looks like several brands of the same product in line. In fact, it's all the same product, it could be. But it looks like this retailer is stocking several different brands. Of course, the retailer will get a higher margin because the retailer is able to sell it as his or her own brand. Whereas if the retailer sold the high-end brand, they would just get whatever the margin that was allowed by the owner of the large brand. And also there's an element of exclusivity. It's exclusive. The private brand is owned by the retailer, so it's exclusive to them. And customers may like that. They may like the idea of going to a shop or a store and being able to buy the local brand, which is very good quality. Now, private brands provide the brand owner with advantages as well. So the brand owner gets increased sales. All they've done is put their product into a different container and put somebody else's brand name on it. So they're getting increased sales. And there's also greater stability in sales, because if their brand dips for whatever reason, perhaps the local brand will hold up, the sales will hold up. So it may balance out. They may have greater stability in sales. And of course this means they have greater financial benefits and greater financial stability. There's also something we need to be aware of, it's called slotting fees. A slotting fee is paid to a retailer by a manufacturer for the retailer to stock its product. Retailers have got a little power here. The manufacturer needs to get their product in front of the customer. And to do that, they may have to pay the retailer to stock their product. So the retailer makes room on its shelves for the product. It slots in the product. It slots it in. That's why it's called a slotting fee. It slots in the product. It makes room for the manufacturer. So the fee paid to the retailer is for allocating shelf space for the product. The shelf space is limited, so they want to make space for it. So the manufacturer pays the retailer to stock and display the product. Secondly, allocating space for the product in the warehouse. I mean, the retailer would have to stock this in the warehouse, so it will take space there as well. The retailer will also have to enter the product into its stock lists. And it'll have to set its electronic recognition of the product as well. So all of these mean that the slotting fee is charged. Now let's talk about brand development. Extending a line of products. For example, a music shop may open a radio station. So extending a line of products is perhaps extending the brand. The brand has been enlarged so that the same brand covers, in our example here, it covers the music shop, but it also covers the radio station. And brand extensions, these are called spin-offs. For example, the Virgin brand applies to many products. So the spin-offs are the extensions of the brand. So in the case of Virgin, it could be Virgin Records, originally Virgin Radio. I don't think they've got that now. Then the internet and telephones, plus all the other products that Virgin sell on the market. And then we have multi-brands, which I'll have a word about in a second, and new brands. So these are the areas of brand development. Now let's have a look at multi-brands. Multi-brand marketing occurs when a company markets two or more similar products and competing products under different and unrelated brands. So multi-brand means the same business sells different products, but products which are similar and therefore competing, but they are different, but they're similar and competing, and they sell them under unrelated brands. So they have two brands perhaps and two products. The products are different, but they are similar and they compete with each other. So the company may compete against itself. You may ask, well, why would a company want to do that? Well, putting it briefly, some companies may want to offer what looks like competitive brands to try and stop new companies from coming into the market. If there's only one product in the market, let's say it has 100% of the market share, and a second company set up with a similar product, then it would have less than 100%. It may have 50%, let's say, the share of the market between them. But if the first company had a similar, different but similar product competing with the first brand, then its 100% will be between the two of them, but it would own both of them. Now if a new company came in, perhaps the new company only get 1/3 of the market, or less even, but let's say 1/3. Well, losing 50% of the market is worse than losing 1/3 of the market. So the company may have two brands to try and stop other companies from coming in and competing away their market share. The advantages of the multi-brand strategy, well, the brands take up more shelf space in retail outlets and thereby crowd out the competitors' brands. That's the idea. They crowd out the competitor. The competitor can't get into the market. There are too many brands already in there, albeit owned by the same company. They saturate the market by covering a wide range of prices and qualities. So they don't leave anything, any part of the market uncovered. They sell at the low end and at the top end and every part in between. So they offer the consumer a wide range of brands, and that makes it difficult for a new company coming in. It also produces internal competition, which may lead to improved efficiency and innovation, because it's now making competitive brands, and there may be an element of internal competition between the different departments that make the different brands, which may lead to greater efficiency and innovation. Each section of the business who makes a different brand compete with the other ones. The disadvantages, well, the competing brands may inflict market damage on each other, I mean, it may sound strange, but they may start to compete against each other, and the rivalry may become a little too intense. It may actually damage the overall business. So that needs to be monitored. An example of multi-brand strategy is the Procter & Gamble example, that they produce Ariel and Tide laundry detergents. Well, to the consumer it looks like Ariel and Tide are in competition, which in a way they are, but they're still owned by the same business. They're only there to stop potential competitors, or one of them is there to stop potential competitors. Brand development, well, line extensions occur when a company extends an existing brand name to new variations of the product. So new variations to the product, and the brand is extended to cover the variations. Brand extensions extend a brand name to a new or modified product in a new category. So it develops the brand. The brand is now, it's the original product plus related products perhaps, and the brand name is extended to cover both. The advantage of that is quite simple. The consumer is loyal to the brand. Now it sees the same name on a second item, so it may purchase the second item on the assumption that it's good quality and it satisfies the need and so on. So it makes marketing of the new brand, of the new product, much easier. New brands are used when existing brands are inappropriate for new products in new product categories or markets. The best example here would be electronics, modern day electronics, computer areas. So a lot of because it's a new area, there is no tradition, there's no history, there's very little history at least. So branding involves creating the brand from right from the start. There was a time when there was no Microsoft. Microsoft did not exist. Microsoft came into existence and it was branded. It's branded as making a quality product. There was no Apple. Apple didn't exist at one stage. When it came into existence, it created a quality product. So new brands are used when existing brands, whatever the existing brand was back before Microsoft and Apple, these were inappropriate for the new products. The new products had to be seen as more innovative and more dynamic. Managing brands, well, it requires high quality brand communications. So managing brands requires good communications. Communications at all levels and in all directions. It requires good communications with the market, with the retailers in the market who are selling the product perhaps. It requires good communications with the in-house producers, the different departments who contribute towards making the product. And it's all designed to ensure that the customer gets precisely what he or she wants in terms of quality at a price that is affordable. And it may require customer-centered training, because the focus is on the customer. The customer is the end target, and it's the customer that must be trained. Sorry, the customer must be met, and the workers and the managers must be trained to meet the customer requirements. And from time to time there should be a brand audit. In other words, checking out how well the brand is doing and monitoring the brand's performance, and perhaps benchmarking it against standards that were set and agreed within business planning the business planning framework. So brands are a big topic. They're a very important topic in the story of marketing, and it's important to understand their significance. Like many other classes, I recommend that you go back over this a few times, stop it on the way, make notes, and research also online or in local libraries or wherever. Try to research related material related to what we've covered here, and extend your notes so that you have a complete set of notes. Obviously, your first port of call is to make sure you understand what this video is about, and then look at the PDFs that are included on the course as well. But that's all I want to say for the moment about this topic. So, thank you for watching.